What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we have a Division video. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the previous Division video I made praising the game in its 2018 state. It's a really fantastic time to get into the Division or to come back to it. And so I wanted to make a very helpful video for anyone in that predicament, people who have just started getting into the Division's endgame, and that is a guide to the best gear sets for new players. Now note, this is not necessarily a super endgame guide. We're going to talk about the classified 6-piece sets in a second, but this is a guide for people just finishing the story mode and then getting into the endgame, getting a bunch of gold gear as well as starting to get their first gear sets. And so, let's get started. Now, like I said, once you're done that campaign, the loot is going to change pretty extensively. During the campaign, you are getting greens, and you start to get your first few blues, then you start to get your first few purples, and then all of a sudden, once you hit rank 30, I should say level 30, everything changes. Gold is just thrown at you. Pretty much every loot piece you get is yellow, and then you're starting to get green loot pieces as well. It's these green loot pieces, the gear set pieces, that we are focusing on. Now, in the Division, there are two different types of gear set pieces, normal and classified. Normal gear set pieces care about how many of the same set you're wearing at the same time. So if you have 2 gear pieces of the same set, you're going to get a bonus, 3 another bonus, and 4 a special bonus for that certain gear set. Now, classified is the exact same thing, but it goes all the way up to 6 pieces, having a 5th and 6th set bonus for those same sets. So for example, Striker is a certain gear set, and there is Classified Striker that has the same 4 bonuses, but then adds a 5th and 6th bonus. But here's the thing, the Classified gear set bonuses are insanely powerful, and therefore the end game is all about getting a 6-piece classified set and then crafting your build to make it as good as possible. However, that results in a pretty big and weird gray area where you have these normal set pieces and you're trying to be able to do end game activities to earn those classified set pieces. A lot of people are going to fall into this gray zone. It's going to be frustrating trying to do these end game activities with a subpar build to try to earn the classified sets, and of course getting 6 of the same set, all different pieces, is quite the chore. That's where this video comes in. So let's talk about the different sets you're going to want to look for that are going to be great for those new players who have just finished the campaign and are looking to get into the end game. So firstly, let's talk about damage. These are going to be gear sets that you want to look for if you want to just increase your damage output significantly. So, the first set we're looking at here is Striker. 2 pieces of Striker gives you plus 20% stability, 3 pieces plus 10% enemy armor damage, really good in PvE, and 4 pieces gives you Striker's battle gear. What this does is that every consecutive hit deals 1% more damage up to 100%. If you miss, however, you lose 2% of that bonus, and every second it's reduced by 1%. So overall, this is going to be a pretty strict damage upgrade, right? If you're just bursting on an enemy with a fully automatic weapon, it's very easy to get up to 10-15 stacks on one enemy and then have that damage bonus when you move on to the next enemy. Even if you end up missing a few times and lower your bonus to 0, while you are bursting fully automatic shots on that one enemy, you are getting that bonus. Striker is one of those things where it either works incredibly well or pretty average. You can see in the background gameplay, I got my stacks up to 70 damaging this big guy. That gives me a 70% damage bonus when I engage the next enemy, which is absolutely absurd. Like, that's an incredible damage bonus, but it's very inconsistent. You're not likely to get to 70 all the time, especially with the 4-piece where missing does lower it by 2%. But again, it's going to provide a damage bonus almost all the time. The damage bonus isn't going to be near 100% very often. It's more likely to be a 5 to 10% damage bonus across the board, but that's still pretty darn good. So once you do have a 4-piece Striker set, what other things are you looking for? Well, in terms of weapons, again, you want that very fast-firing, fully automatic weapon. You want to be able to get those stacks up high and fast. Something like an M4 assault rifle is absolutely fantastic. The M4 is arguably the best assault rifle in the game. If you can get one with decent rolls, you're going to be using that pretty much until the very end game, and it works very well with Striker. Something like an SMG may actually cause problems. It's going to be quite good in very close range, but SMGs tend to bloom quite fast in the Division, and you will start missing shots sooner and more often than something like an assault rifle. Now, moving on from there, the next set you're going to want to look for to increase your damage output is Predator's Mark. 2 pieces of Predator's Mark gives you plus 10% to reload speed, 3 pieces plus 8% to assault rifle damage and to SMG damage, and the 4 set bonus is Predator's Mark. Hitting 10 shots without switching targets will make that target bleed for 50% of the damage already done by those bullets. So, if you shoot a guy 10 times in a row, he's going to start to bleed and take damage over time for 50% of the damage you caused with those 10 bullets. So obviously this is just a straight increase to your damage output. You're applying a bleed effect, which is causing more damage, and obviously you're going to continue to shoot that target after 10 bullets, so he's just going to be taking much more damage than he otherwise would. Now, the thing about Predator is that the ceiling isn't as high as something like Striker. You can get Striker all the way up to 100%, you're going to get nowhere near as much as a doubling damage effect when using Predator's Mark, but Predator's Mark is substantially more consistent. Hitting an enemy 10 times is really easy to do, and then causing that bleed is going to significantly increase your damage output. You don't have to worry about missing shots and losing your stacks over time, and it lets you play a little bit more passively. You can come out, hit 10 shots into a sniper across the map, go back into cover and wait for them to bleed out. Whereas with Striker, you're going to be constantly trying to engage enemies and keep your stacks up, and it could lead to you playing a little bit too aggressively and getting yourself killed. So, if you do have a 4-piece Predator's Mark, what other gear are you looking for? Well, in terms of weapons, you do want to capitalize on the 3-piece bonus. Plus 8% to assault rifle damage is nothing to scoff at, so I would highly recommend using an assault rifle. Again, something like an M4 is going to be decent because you can very easily burst on a target and get 10 shots very, very fast, so if that target does dive into cover or whatever, he's still going to be taking that bleed damage over time, which is very effective. A tip for Predator's Mark users, however, is that it counts the first 10 shots. So if those 10 shots do a ton of damage and they're coming from something like a marksman's rifle or a shotgun like a semi-automatic shotgun, you're going to be bleeding that enemy for a significant amount of damage. So running a marksman's rifle or again a semi-auto shotgun and using those on bosses, like getting 10 shotgun hits on a boss and then watching him bleed significantly and basically killing him with the bleed, that's going to be something that is a viable option for this loadout. Now, you may be wondering, what do I use for my other 2 armor slots? Because of course a 4-piece set only takes up 4 out of 6. Well, for both Striker and Predator, I would somewhat recommend using 2 Nomad gear sets. The 2-piece bonus for the Nomad set gives you plus 15% health on kill. So if you kill an enemy, you get 15% of your health back. If you have an armor piece that gives you, 5% health back on kill, you're going to be getting 20% of your health back every time you get a kill. If you're using these more aggressive damage dealing gear sets like Predator's Mark or especially Striker, getting your health back every time you get a kill is very, very effective and lets you play very aggressively while still staying alive. Okay, so moving on from there, if you're not too interested in dealing a bunch of damage and you want a great overall gear set, you're going to want to look for the D3/FNC or defense set. So the defense set is going to give you, for a 2-piece bonus, plus 15% protection from elites, 3-piece gives you plus 10% ballistic shield damage resilience, and the 4-piece bonus is frontline. Allows using an SMG if one is equipped when ballistic shield is deployed. only Master Rank Shield mod is active. Ballistic Shield health is increased 57% for every 3,000 stamina. So really what this does is it lets you use your Ballistic Shield where otherwise you would have to have a pistol to shoot, and now lets you use an SMG. This doesn't sound like much, and I think if you're a new player, you're likely to overlook this because, I mean, if you look at Striker's battle gear, we're talking about 100% damage bonus. It looks so crazy, but I'm telling you, the defense set is incredibly good overall. Being able to have that shield, which is very, very resistant, especially if you can get your stamina to 6,000 or above, so you get that pretty insane health bonus for your shield, you're going to be able to resist a lot of damage, and all you need other than that is a half-decent SMG. Now in the gameplay you're seeing, I'm using the House, which is, well, there's no other way to say this, it's the best SMG in the game right now. So you are not going to be melting people as fast as I am. But before the House, I was using a very good roll Vector, and before that, I was using a decent roll PP19. And even with my pretty, thrown together PP19, I was still soloing underground missions with ease. The defense set is great for solo players because it gives you so much survivability and lets you just walk up to enemies and SMG them in the face. So if you just have a decent gold SMG, and when we're talking about decent, the perks you're looking for is perks that'll increase your critical hit chance or critical hit damage, and especially that one perk that gives you 10% bonus damage if you're within 10 meters. That's fantastic with SMGs. If you've got anything like that and you get a defense set, you're going to be golden and you're going to be able to survive a lot better. You're going to be able to solo content where otherwise you probably wouldn't with traditional gear sets. Now, aside from a decent SMG, there are really no other gear requirements for the defense set. Go to town with whatever other weapons or gear pieces you want to use for your other two slots. And moving on from there, the last gear set we're going to talk about is the support player's gear set. If you're someone who likes being extremely beneficial in a team, likes healing, if you play a healer traditionally, this is the set you want to look for, and that is the Reclaimer support set. 2 pieces of Reclaimer is going to give you plus 30% support station range, 3 pieces is plus 50% support station duration, and the 4-piece bonus is called Reclaimer. Support Station grants the benefit of the life support, immunizer, and ammo cache mods at the same time. So, obviously with this set, you're running the skill Support Station. Little tip here, make sure to run the Revive Support Station when you're doing this, because that one that has the little health symbol gives you more healing on average per second than the other two, and you're still getting the bonuses of the other two. So you're going to be able to put down your Support Station, have a much wider range, like it's a massive range with Reclaimer, and it lasts way longer, and you're going to have all 3 of the bonuses. So if any of your teammates or yourself goes down, they will get revived within its radius, its massive radius, and when you reload inside it, you're going to not use up ammunition, and you are immune to all negative status effects. So you can't be set on fire, you can't be shocked, you can't be, stunned, anything like that. It won't work as long as you're inside the support station, which is obviously fantastic. If you're fighting cleaners and they all have, flamethrowers, you can throw your support station down and stand in it, and you really don't have to worry. You're going to take a little amount of damage, but you won't be set on fire, which is the main downside. You can literally stand there and resist flamethrowers basically infinitely. It's really, really effective. And if you are someone who does run Reclaimer, and of course you want to have very high electronics when you do run Reclaimer, because that's going to help with just your overall healing and so on, but if you are someone who runs this gear set, you can easily go into harder activities, not necessarily be doing a ton of damage against enemies. You got to get used to that. You're not going to be able to take down enemies easily, but you can help your teammates who are able to take down teammates easily. If you want to run something like the new Resistance Wave Survival mode, or if you want to do harder missions, you can run this set, rely on much more advanced players who have 6-piece sets to crush all the enemies, and they'll still want you around because you are a very useful part of the team. It's a great way to do the much harder activities that's going to let you get those classified gear sets while still helping the team overall. Now, what other gear are you looking for if you're running Reclaimer? Well, firstly, make sure that you do all of your medical wing upgrades, because that's going to let you get the master bonus for your support station, which lets you blow it up and heal anyone in the radius that's on your team for 33% of their health. Incredibly useful, like you blow it up just before it dies every time. And in addition to that, you want to be looking for, I think, Tactician. In terms of your other 2 gear slots, that's going to give you plus 15% skill haste, which is going to let your support stations charge faster. Obviously very useful. And in terms of weapons, it's really open. Just use your best weapons. You can have an argument for using weapons with skill-focused perks. For example, there's a perk where you do 10% bonus damage after using a skill. Obviously great if you're a skill-focused build, but the nature of Reclaimer, you put down your support station and you just leave it for quite a while, so you're not using skills that much. So frankly, again, I would just recommend using whatever the best weapons you have are, but expect to not do a ton of damage with them. Your main purpose here is just to heal your teammates. And so guys, those are the 4 gear sets I would recommend for new players. Now a note here, all of the gear sets are good, and all of them can be made to work efficiently in the end game. These 4 stand out to me because they're pretty easy to understand and they're pretty easy to utilize for new players, and they don't have too many requirements and have a lot of min-maxing and so on. These are 4 gear sets that you can throw on and start being a lot more effective. But again, that doesn't mean that if you get a 4-piece Tactician set or a 4-piece Alpha Bridge set or Firecrest set or whatever, that you should ignore those. By all means, try them out and use them. They just might require a little bit more to make them very good. And so that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you guys want to see more Division content, I am more than willing to do that, but make sure to support this video. If it does well, it's a great sign to me that it's worth making more Division content, so keep that in mind. Now, if you guys do want to see more, make sure to press that subscribe button, especially press that bell beside subscribe so you actually get notified of new uploads. If you guys want to keep in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.